All right, let's get into it. So we'll start off with Bitcoin. Doesn't seem to be doing much this weekend. Hasn't broken out of these areas here, obviously, so we're still waiting for that. We do have today and tomorrow technically before the monthly candle closes. So we can see that it's a bearish monthly candle, but it's definitely not engulfing or anything. It's not even half of last month's candle, so great signs that this wants to keep going up. There's still lots of bullish momentum. It's literally just pulling back to this 50%, between the 50%, the 618 level. It could be this main supply area here. So, and it might not even make it that far, to be honest. So just depends on what the US dollar does and then the momentum on the crypto market. So I'm still looking for a big trade through here. Based on the monthly range, it's about $7,000. So if we set our range here, let's say it breaks this area, this is what we're looking at, guys. So about 29,700. Let's pretend like that is next month's low. Well, no, we'll make it a bit lower, and we'll make them even numbers. So we'll say 29,000 is the low for next month. That means somewhere up here, the high will be 36,000. That's just based on the average true range. So this is kind of the jump we're looking at, just based on the law of averages. So you want to look for something like this and then target this full move, because once the US dollar starts losing value again and some bullish momentum comes into the cryptocurrency market as a whole, we know that Bitcoin is roughly, I think, 40 or 50% of the entire cryptocurrency market cap. So because of that, this is going to be the first pair, Bitcoin will be the first asset to really take the momentum upwards. So I think something like this, like obviously it's not set up yet, and it might still be a bit before it sets up, but we'll watch this and I'll let you know. I'll keep you all posted. I'll post tons of videos and I'll just make sure we're up to date on this so that we can jump on this big move here upwards, because I do think it will go, and I think it just has to crack these areas here, which are not major, but they are there, and so far it's creating a little bottom support here, but this might break, it might head lower. Like I said, if it goes, it might go down, to 28,000. That's no big deal. This is a big buy area here in the 28s, so that is fine. That is Bitcoin. We will, once we get in, we're gonna shoot for this full monthly range. We're gonna, get $7,000 out of it. So that is Bitcoin. Ethereum. Okay, so still very bullish. I'm looking for it to break some areas of resistance. This would be a nice one. If it can break this area, then, it's got this major area it's got to deal with too. So might be getting ahead of ourselves with that one. But, you start looking at Ethereum's monthly range. There is just a lot of wicks here. So this is a little bit different than Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, as far as the monthly closing, looked really good and looked really bullish going into next month, but this one not as much, because I understand this monthly candle came down and it's dipping back, but not enough, and there's too many wicks. Since August of 2022, so a year, actually more than that, since June of 2022, price has not been above the $2,000 mark. So Ethereum's a little iffy, so I wouldn't say a buy is as clear as like Bitcoin, but it's still something to consider. Price is still above this moving average, so you could definitely get something like this. Shoot for like 1980. If it breaks this area, you could probably get a buy, but it's just not going to be worth a lot. Like, you wouldn't want to target anything above $2,000, because price has not been above that in a very long time, and it's not clear enough to make that projection, in my opinion. So I think price would have to break this area here, essentially the $1,900 mark, and if it breaks and holds above 1900, then it'll go to 1980. That's kind of the high spot of this zone. Well, as far as the daily goes, yeah, you got about $2,000, so you'd be good to go between 1980, so the top of this zone and then the bottom of this zone. So you'd be good from like $1,900 to $2,000 for Ethereum, but after that, not good. And then so if you got in, like let's say price came up here, came back, and then you entered, you could get like a 3 to 4 R if you tighten this stop up a little bit. If you use a stop loss, you could do that. There's just not a lot of reward there for me. I like higher than 3. I like closer to double digits, and I like targeting the full monthly range. So, but for this, I don't see that happening. So that's Ethereum. Litecoin, ooh, so this daily, nice, is rejecting hard. So there's still 10 hours left to close, but I mean that is a massive wick. So we drew this out a couple days ago, and it does not seem to be working out. It seems like price came up and then is rejecting so hard. Now if it would have came up and then started rejecting this zone as far as like support, then your buying entries would be good. But based on this, I mean, there's a chance that it does not even break this zone and it wants to head lower. So your actual trade would be something like this, and then you just target the bottom of this zone. But right now price is above the moving average, so it's technically bullish, so technically you would be counter trend trading. But I mean, you could, it's up to you. I do see a lot of rejection in this area, and you can even, if you tighten this down and go like this, you can see price rejected, broke below this zone, and now is rejecting it on the upside. So it kind of tells me it doesn't want to go lower. So you could do something like this based on how today closes, and then target this bottom zone and get a 4 to 5R. It could be something, make your stop like 96 and make your target 87, something like that. And that's a great trade right there because of this huge rejection. I mean, if today closed like that, I think that'd be a pretty safe bet. So that's Litecoin. I think it is a good short, to be honest. It is just counter trend trading, but as of right now, I think you'd be good to go because I just don't think there's enough bullish momentum in the markets, obviously. And I mean, it is making lower lows, so you can see, lower highs, lower lows. So it is trending down. I think a short would be a good position. If you look at the 4 hour, you can see this massive rejection too on the last four hour candles. So that's huge. And you can see price is below this moving average now, so on the 4 hour. So I do think Litecoin is a good short position now, or at 95 bucks if it hits that, or anytime after today, as long as today closes like this. So XMR, okay. Got old Monero, not doing a whole lot, still bullish, still staying above this zone, looking to buy it, but it's going to have to break above 164 and hold. So far it's slowly trickling down, but did make a higher low here, so something to consider. I think it is bullish, obviously. Still, it's way above the moving average, but I just don't think there's enough momentum in the cryptocurrency markets right now to push everything up. But I think that will come, and I think especially with the dollar, like the US dollar going down, it eventually will soon push everything up. So I think this 164 level will break soon. Then I think you're good to go to 170 for sure, and then even higher than that. I think looking on a weekly here, yeah, it would obviously have to break this 168 level, but again, I mean, there's been huge bullish momentum here, so now it's just doing a little bit of a pullback. Your 50% zone is here at right about 151 bucks, so might pull down that far, might not even break this zone, because in order to pull down this far, it would have to break this zone and this moving average, so it could still be bullish enough to not have to do that. So we'll just wait. We'll wait for it to either pull back into this zone, into this major zone, or break this zone before we enter a buy. And then I think that would be an excellent trade. Target like a monthly range. The monthly range on Monero is about 45 bucks. So yeah, you could get this, no problem, if price breaks this area here. So wait for that. Again, I'll keep you posted. I'll always keep you up to date. I go through these charts every day. I like being on top of things. I like being ready, but I don't like rushing things. So I think the more prepared you are and the more you analyze the charts, the more you make notes, you document everything, then you can be on top of making, good choices, good decisions in the market that are profitable. So it's Monero. Moving on to Dash. Dash is bearish, and we can see that on the daily it is printing a bearish engulfing candle. There is 10 hours left before it closes, but I'm going to look for a area of resistance here. There's not a whole lot. There is one here. It's not great, but so if price breaks this area, which I do think it will, we could target something like this. So if we go back on the 4 hour, price has to break this area, and then we'll put our stop above a bunch of these wicks here, and then target, look for another 4 hour. This would be a pretty safe one to depending on how tight you can get your stop loss, can make the risk reward good. If you use a stop loss, something like this is fantastic. Yeah, you get an 8R. I think this would be really good. It's a little bit risky, but I do think that it's worth it. You got price way below the 4-hour moving average. It would be below the 1-hour moving average as well, so lots of bearish momentum in the market, ready to break this zone and keep going and retest this area where it tested before. So I think that's a good upcoming trade for Dash. I would just set an alert here, and let it break this zone, break and hold at least a 4-hour candle close below this zone, and then you're going to go down into here and shoot for about between 31 and 30. So that's Dash. I think it's a good short. Cardano. Okay, so also bearish, real bearish candle today, wicking real hard. Could actually adjust this to go like this. Nice as hang on, so let's get rid of that here. So I would be looking for a short position on this. Big rejection here, previous rejection back here about a week ago, so that's good. You can see price came into the zone, big rejection, another candle rejection, and is now printing a nice bearish 4-hour candle. So this is good. I would target something like this. If price comes back up to this zone, it would definitely be a good short, and I would target something worthwhile. So at least the bottom of this zone I think is a safe bet. Again, you would need price to come back up here a little bit to get your entry, and then target the bottom of this zone. If you wanted to get even better R, your weekly range is about 5 cents. So if you wanted to target the full week to get an even better R, if we consider about 31.5 being the top of the week, then you could get about 26.5, quite a bit down. Now again, we don't back down into here, so yeah, I mean that's a good range, but it does do that on average on the week. So this past week has been really really slow. It only did about 20 cents or about 2 cents, sorry, so about 40% of its normal movement. But again, on average, it is 5 cents. So if we have average momentum coming to this market this week coming up, you could hit this, and like that's a 13R right there. I think it's totally reasonable. I think if you just let price come back up to here 31.5 and you see some rejection on a 4-hour, I think it's a great entry. So I'm going to set an alert there, and then if price comes up and rejects, I'm going to take advantage of that and make 10 times my money on that position. So that's Cardano. Polkadot, okay. Shaping up real nice on this 4-hour. Okay, so yeah, came up to this zone again last couple days, rejected. Now is printing a bearish engulfing candle on the daily. On the 4-hour, it looks excellent. So lots of rejection. You can see price was testing this moving average and then now broke below it, tested it, and is continuing lower. So I think DOT is an excellent short here. It's below the 200-day moving average, so that's huge. I mean, it's very bearish. If you want to target a weekly, similar to what I just showed you in the last chart, weekly is about 7 cents or 70 cents. 7 cents. Reading the place value wrong. About 7 cents. So you're looking at quite a bit lower here. Like you could target even the bottom of this. I think would be a great bet. So something like this, I think is an excellent trade if you wanted to. So like right now, as it sits, you'd get about a 4R, and you would keep your stop, if you use a stop, above this area. But if you wanted to be a little bit more aggressive, but I would still say it's pretty conservative, you could set your stops above these wicks here. So these previous 4-hour wicks, you got this one, this one, this one. If you set your stop a little bit above these at like 529, I think it's a very reasonable stop. And look at that, you pretty much double your R ratio. You go from 4 and a bit to 9.5, could be almost 10. So, and again, based on the weekly range, there's still more in this. So this is, like I said, it does about 7 cents, and I've only got 4.8 marked out. So like realistically, on average, could go to here. So then you would get a lot more. But if you want to be a little bit more safe and conservative, I'd go there, go for like a 4.75 kind of thing. I think this is an excellent trade, guys. I think jumping on this and Cardano, now, or if price comes back up to this area a little bit, I'm gonna leave an alert here, and then jumping on that. I think that's awesome. I don't really know if it gets much better than that. So everything's kind of aligned. If you look at the 1 hour, price, just beautiful. Got rejected by the 1 hour, is now coming down, rejected again. So it's going to start pushing down, and it's going to hit your take profit most likely. So just be patient, wait for a good entry. I mean, you already have one, but you could wait for a better one, or stack both if you want, and jump in on that short position and hold it to about 476. So that's DOT. Okay, so Ripple went over this a couple days ago, way above this moving average, so super bullish, but is getting rejected by this zone, which tells me it wants to go even lower. But there's a major zone here, so it's kind of indecisive. And again, so breaking this all down, it is bullish, but it is getting rejected, and it has made lower lows and lower highs. So this tells me it's still pulling back from this massive movement here, but it did hit this 50% zone. So it's kind of gridlocked right now and at a standstill, because it hit its 50% zone, so it wants to go back up, most likely. It's done its full retracement, but it's having issues with this zone, probably just because there's not enough momentum in the market, which is no big deal. And there's this major zone here. So as far as like taking a trade, I don't believe there is a trade right now. But if price comes down to this level, the 70-cent kind of level, I think it's an excellent buy. And then, because I don't really think price will come below this area, it's been rejected a few times, and this is the 50% retracement. And you can see these massive wicks through this area. So it just, on the daily, it never wanted to break below this area. So I think this is an excellent buy, but it's got to come down to here still. And then you can hold it. If you wanted to target a weekly range, the weekly range is about 10 cents. So right now this is sitting at 11. So yeah, that's a very reasonable trade. It seems to be, demonstrating that it just doesn't want to go back up yet, but it will. So let price come back down to here. Don't jump on it yet. Wait for it to come down a couple more cents, then get in on this major support area, and then target upwards. By then there'll be more momentum in the market, most likely. The US dollar will come back down a bit and lose its strength, which will push this up. So I would wait for that. So that is Ripple. Moving on to NEO. Okay, so bearish, looks to be going back towards this area here. I'm not sure if it's to make it up to this area that we drew out. So but this seems to be pretty major. You can see these massive wicks in this area, so I don't really see much of a trade right now. You'd have to wait for price to again come back up to this area and reject before entering a short, or break this major area here. So I mean, to be on the safe side, there's not really much right now. On the 4 hour, it is below the moving average, so bearish, but has been making higher highs and higher lows. So unless price disrupts structure and breaks maybe this this area here, this little candle breaks below this candle, so like the $8.68 level kind of thing, I don't think there's an entry yet. Even if it broke that, that's still aggressive, and there's just not a lot of confirmation there. So I would stay away from NEO for a bit, let it either break this area or come up to this area, but until then, do nothing. So that's NEO. Solana. Okay, so we're getting rejected by this area here, so it tells me it still wants to go down, even though there was this bullish engulfing candle here. Doesn't seem to want to break this area. So support, broke it, and now we're getting rejected. So most likely we'll still come back down to this level, which would be an excellent buy and would still be above this moving average. And then I think all that is just a basic retracement. So if we go from here, we can see price did retrace there. And then if we go from here, we can see that, yeah, price has retraced, has hit this 50%, but so it hit this 50%, came into this zone, now came back up, but is getting rejected. So this tells me two things. It's not ready to go back up yet, because it is, as of today, it's printing a bearish engulfing candle over yesterday's. So it wants to go down, and I think it wants to go into a deeper retrace. So it's more than likely going to go for this 618 level, which is exactly where this previous area is. This previous area of, which would have been resistance, is now going to function as support once price comes back down. So this is a huge liquid area here for buyers, and I do believe price is going to come down to this zone. I think you just got to give it some time. I think this is a very, very healthy move overall. You can see big bullish leg, healthy pullback. You know, you can see some bulls came in right away here, engulfed this candle as soon as price kind of hit this 50% area. You know, the bulls came back, but then it just wasn't enough, and they said, no, let's wait, we'll pull back a bit more, we'll get an even better price at probably like 22.50. I mean, that's a price loves whole numbers, so 22.50 is kind of where I would go. Or as soon as it gets into this 618 zone, I would take it. So that is Solana. I think it's a definite buy, just not yet. I think let it come down a bit to this main area and then target, you know, this zone here. If you want to target a weekly range, which I would, because you get the most out of it, it's about $4.50. So, you know, for here, this is at 472. So, I mean, this is a very, very healthy move, very, very fair trade. This is something I would take. Once price comes down to here, I would get in on it and ride it to the top. Oh yes, good old Doge, man. Good old meme coins. I mean, you can still make money off them, as goofy as it is, and like as against them as I kind of am. I mean, I'm not opposed to making money, so it's still ethical. Like it's still just basic trading. So if something's gonna go up in value, I'll buy it. Got no problem in that. So price is now above this moving average. This is a good sign for you bullish guys on Doge. Delete this candle, or delete this zone. We don't really need it. So just looking at this first glance, higher highs, higher lows, now broke this moving average, so, and has created some support here too. So this tells me that it still wants to go up. So you can see yesterday's big bullish engulfing candle over the previous days. So great sign, this still wants to go up. There's a ton of momentum. As of this week, you can see it's been just a massive bull candle. Last 3 weeks have been bullish, and then even the week before that was barely a pullback. So, you know, Doge is bullish, guys. Like it by this definition, it really is. So looking at this previous area of resistance at about 9 cents. So Doge is a good buy, I would say, now to about 9 cents. That is the next area of supply. Maybe a little bit above 9 cents. So I would say you're good to buy this. We'll shorten this up a little bit. You're good to buy this now, or make this a little bit longer. This is your area for take profits. So you could buy it now if you want. You'd have to set your stop below this zone though, for it to be, you know, real like on the safer side. So you could buy it now. That's not a very good R. It's only 2. I would wait for something like this. I mean, this is a perfect world. Obviously, you would have rather got in on it back here a couple days ago, but you missed that chance. So now this is your next bet. I would wait for price to come back down to, you know, the 77.12 area, right at this area of resistance on the daily, before entering a long position and getting, you know, an 8.5 R. If you wanted, what you could do is look for something like this. So this is kind of a little secret here. So you can catch these mini trends. So I would bet that price is going to come down to here, and all we're going to do is do a retrace of this little leg here. So price came up, now it's pulling back. This is going to be your area to buy here. As long as price rejects, then there's a good buy there at the, you know, 79 cent level kind of thing. So, or 0.79 cents, sorry, 7.9 cents is a good buy. So wait for price to come down to this 50% level, and as long as it shows some rejection on the 4 hour, I mean, there is a chance that it doesn't even break that low. So this is where it gets really technical, and I mean, you don't have to be this technical, but I like to, because then I kind of make the best decisions that way. So if price rejects this area a couple more times, or even just on this 4 hour, like, by all means you could jump in on something like this. So now you're looking at a 20 R, but that, you know, the tighter your stops, if you use stops, the less you're, you know, the less likely your trade is to play out, and the more likely you are to get stopped out if you use a stop loss. So this is where, you know, just technicalities come into play. So you can either enter the trade here, basically now, and set your stop below these 2 zones, because, you know, you don't want to get stuck in this retracement. So like, yes, it's bullish obviously, but price is currently retracing, you can tell. So it made this huge move, and now it's been pulling back. There's a massive wick here, so you don't want to jump in on anything. So I got a lot of zones here now, but you don't want to jump in on a buy if it's still in the retrace. So you either wait for it to, you know, hit this zone and then bank on it getting stopped at this zone and then the liquidity coming back in and pushing it up, or you wait for price to break the upside. So something like this you could also do. I would probably be more inclined to do this, and because of this situation you would still get a really nice R, and you would know that you're entering the position based on bullish momentum rather than bearish. And what I mean by that is if you were to enter on this zone or this zone, you're basing your entry on bearish momentum taking you into a support zone, whereas if you took a trade like this, you're basing it on the fact that price is bullish and breaking the upside. So this trade, for example, would be based on breaking a resistance. Instead of finding support, you're actually breaking resistance and then banking it on the bulls coming into the market and carrying you all the way up. So hopefully that makes sense. I think that is the best. I think that's the better of the two trades, is to just wait and make sure that bullish momentum is there. Not to be too confusing, but I would wait for something like this. So wait for price to come up here, then come back down, reject this zone on the upside, then you're probably good to go straight up. Because until then, I mean, this could just be pulling back, and this could take, you know, if there's no real liquidity in the market, I mean, this could take 2 days for it to just like trickle down into this zone, get stock, hang out, you know, maybe drizzle down a little bit further into the 618 level. So like you could get stuck in a trade for 3 days when you could just hang out now, set an alert, you know, like I would do here. I'll set an alert, so when price cracks this area, that means we're good to go. Like that means the bulls have entered, the liquidity is there, the momentum is there, and it's time to buy. So that is Doge. Do a couple more here. So Binance, got this zone here. I'm gonna delete. See where we're at. So Binance, very bearish, but pretty flat, to be honest. So I would actually look for a short position here, something like this, and I would target a weekly range. The weekly range is about 20. Wow, it's barely moved this week. The weekly range is about $26, but you can see this massive zone here that it's been rejecting, and then it's also at this weekly moving average pretty much. So Binance coin is kind of at a standstill, I would say, but if you were to take a trade, it would be definitely bearish. And you can also see prices made lower lows, so it's still bearish. I would target this zone, and I don't know if price will come below this zone. This is a major zone. You can see on the weekly that it's been rejected previously massively, so don't really think price wants to go below, you know, $230. So I wouldn't target much below that. I'd probably just target this top of this zone, to be honest. But something like this would be great. You can get a 5R if you tighten up your stop, get a 6R maybe. No problem. You could probably actually enter this now. Yeah, this is a good short now. Based on all these wicks, these 4-hour wicks, see price coming up, rejection. I mean, but you're playing a little bit of roulette because there is still bullish momentum here. Price is above the 4-hour moving average. So again, like this is a high reward trade, but I mean very high risk too, just in the sense that there's still bullish momentum. But I mean, you could sneak like a massive, you know, 10 to 20 R trade just based on the rejection of this zone, and you can see like it's heavily rejecting this area on the 4-hour. So I mean, how I would make this trade safer, so this would be how I would make this trade safer, is I would wait for momentum to die down a bit. So the, you know, crossing over the 1-hour moving average, which is kind of unlikely soon. You can see there's a bearish engulfing 1-hour candle here, so that's a good sign after price came to this zone. So how I would make this trade safer and more likely would be to set an area like this and go like this. So let price break this zone here, break this moving average, close below this area, and then enter something like this, and then you're getting the most R ratio. This is actually a much better entry than it would have been up here. So break, you know, let it break this zone, break this moving average, wait for a good rejection on a 4-hour, then enter this short position and target all the way down to here, guys, at like the $230 mark, and you make very good money. You make well over a 20R. I think this trade is honestly very conservative considering the reward ratio. I like it a lot. I think as long as it, because you can see it's rejected this main area, because price always tells a story. So it's rejected this main area many times. It's pushed up as much as it can, still getting rejected. Now we'll see if it, the bears come in and just knock out this zone, and then they want to make lower lows. So you could even wait for, if you wanted a little bit more confirmation still, you wait for these moving averages to cross over. So right now it's about to touch the 15. So if it touches the 15 and breaks it and then starts to reject it, then, so like if price does something like this, comes down, this moving average goes like this, then price comes back up and again retest this zone, then you enter your shorts for sure then, and you'll most likely be good to go. I think that's very safe. On the 5 minute it's already broken, the 15 minute will be soon. I would set an alert here for this moving average, this 30-minute moving average. So when price touches this 30-minute moving average, there's a very good chance I want in on that trade. So that is Binance Coin. That's all I'm going to do for now. I'll probably be back later to go over some more, but I think this is an excellent trade, guys. I think you just wait a little bit longer, wait for price to crack this zone, then reject, retest and reject it, and then enter that trade and make 20 to 30 times your money. So that is Binance Coin. That is all I got for today. Thank you for tuning in. Hopefully you learned something. If you have any questions, please reach out. I'm always here to help. It helps me help you. I love going over charts. I love dissecting things because then I learn and makes me more disciplined and a better trader. So thanks for everything, guys.